Okay, recording in progress. Um, so Sean McDermott, head coach of Illinois Chicago baseball. Mac, I've known you for, gosh, what, 5 or 6 years. Um, Coached with you at Illinois Chicago. You were the assistant there for around what, 20 years.
Yeah.
Got the head job. Last year was your first season as a head coach. Um, Illinois Chicago, uh, outstanding program. I'm biased because I was a part of it for a couple years. Um, but if you could quickly just give me just your background, kind of your baseball background and up to this point.
Well, I was a high school player in Minnesota. Just played, pre club baseball. It was all American Legion. You played with your high school team, and if you got a recruiting letter, one or two, you felt blessed and excited about those opportunities. And I ended up I was a junior college player at Indian Hills Community College, and I left there um, with a great understanding of how to play baseball and learned a lot. And then I went to Lincoln Memorial University in East Tennessee, played there and really, got a whole different experience. And then started coaching at Lincoln Memorial as a graduate assistant. Um, and learned a lot and recruiting and stuff like that and field maintenance and laundry and a lot of different things. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to go coach at Princeton University for a Hall of Fame coach by the name of Tom O'Connell. And I was, 23 years old when I went to work for Oak. And tons of responsibility, recruiting on a national scale all over the place, and very, very fortunate to have had that experience. And then I took a head coaching job at Viterbo College, an NAIA program, and really it was kind of like a mix of coaching at Viterbo was a mix of junior college. My experience at junior college, it was gritty, it was dirty, it was you're doing I'm the recruiting coordinator. I'm the equipment guy. I'm the travel secretary. Uh, and, I look back at it now with such fond memories and how simple life really was. And then I get the opportunity to come to UIC and build something from the ground up, a program that had not had a lot of success. And at least in recent years, it had fallen on tough times, and came here with Mike D, and we kind of had a vision of Mike had a great vision of what he wanted to build, and shared it with me, and we jumped on board and got after it. And I've been here now as an assistant. I was here for 22 years now. I'm in my 24th year total at UIC. Feel very fortunate to have coached in one spot for almost 25 years, unheard of in our profession. But we have great facilities, we have great support, winning's a priority. And I'm just very fortunate to be at UIC and excited about where our program's heading.
Yeah, and I would agree with all those things. You know, let's jump into just some of the topics. And the reason I chose you for these topics is because and you'll kind of see why here in a second, but you know, the impression of that program, when I say that program, UIC, that I always the perception was always that these guys are nitty gritty, blue collar, played hard all the time. When I was playing against Illinois Chicago when I was at Vanderbilt, always a dogfight, always. And there was something special about the program, and I always look back and I was like, you know what, when playing those guys made us better as a team. And then being a part of the program, I look at it and I'm like, there's something special here. There's something special in terms of an edge. There's something special in terms of let's go out here and take care of business, and have fun doing it. And that's, a lot of the things that I try to implement in our travel program. I've taken a lot of things that Mike has said, that you've said, Flood, and all those other guys. But going into one of the topics that I want to talk about, when we say having an edge, having a competitive edge, for a player. For a player, what does that look like? What does a player need to have in terms of a competitive edge?
Well, I think first of all, you have to paint a picture of what the edge is, right?
Right.
What is the edge? And people always say edgy, he plays with an edge, but when you're on the edge is I'm safe on this side, danger on this side, and I'm trying to play as close to the edge without falling off as possible. And when you approach that edge, there's an emotional investment. There is a recklessness at times about it. And that's the gamble that you're playing on. And the guys that can master getting to the edge and playing as close to it without falling off the cliff, those are the guys that are highly successful. And I watched a video, I think it was Ice Cube or Ice T talking about, he talks about that edge as being a place where marvelous things happen, right? Creation happens at the edge. He goes, people ask their wives to marry them at the edge. People, meet their significant other. Like if you're not working the edge, you're never going to ask the girl to dance. If you're not working the edge, you're never going to get the big sale. If you're not working at the edge, it's hard to get the big hit. If you want to play safe, put me into a game, we're up by 10 runs and I'll hit you a home run, but the guys that play at the edge are like excited about it's tied up and I got a chance to do something special here. They're excited about that. That being said, there's the negative side of the edge too, where you lose emotional control, right? And that puts you over the edge. So what really an edgy player to me is a guy that sees the opportunity rather than sees the risk of failure. And like we as everything that's out there now, from social media to stuff is like, and even administratively, like risk management. Okay. Even from a coaching side of things, like it's risk management. How do I talk to players? What can I say? What can't I say? How do I keep my job? And I want to try and win championships. I want my players excited to win a title, not live in the safe zone. Okay. And there's a time where safety is good, but in competition on a baseball field or a football field or any arena, you have to push the edge. And the most successful business people have lost millions of dollars. And Mark Cuban says, if you're a successful entrepreneur, you've most likely gone broke or have $0 in your bank account to get to where you're going. That's risk. That's going all in. That's saying, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm going all in because that's what I believe in. And finding those players is hard because they want safety. They don't want to have to listen to mom and dad on the car ride home saying, why did you steal? Or why. Instead of celebrating, man, that was awesome. You freaking went for it. Just an example, we're playing this weekend at Murray State, and it's a tight game, and Murray came back, and guy hits a ball down the left field line. There's 2 runners on, 2 outs, and my left fielder dives for the ball, and he misses it, and it goes to the wall, 2 runs score. We lose the game 6-4 eventually. And I told him after the game, 100% the right call, 100% the right call. It didn't work out, but like, I need you to, like, to me, encouraging that play that's winning baseball. Eventually that's going to win us a game. But if he's playing on his feet all the time, he doesn't feel like he can take that risk, that gamble, then we're just playing safe. And how many balls are going to fall in? And we're going to be equally as frustrated as that. So,
Right.
edgy, I think you have to describe it to your players. And then you have to encourage them to go for it. And I know you were here, and you saw the kind of the style of defense that I preached. Like, it was like, hey, here's the structure, but within the structure, we're gonna play aggressive. We're gonna go for it. We're gonna play with one hand. We're not gonna play safety baseball. What, block it up? Hey, blocking it up, like, that's not giving guys encouragement to play. That's like saying play safe. When you make a mistake, just block it up. No. We're gonna go for it, and two-strike approach. Like, yes, we're defensive, but we're going to be offensive in our defensive situation. We're going to know how to be an offensive player, letting the ball get deep and extending at bats out. I just think the more we can teach going for it and letting it ride, the better off we're going to be.
Right. No, I agree with that. And, the kids that I've worked with, whether it's Illinois, Chicago, or Tulane, or, a 10-year-old who's learned how to throw, whatever it is, I always teach just do it. And if you mess up, don't worry about it. I've had a couple guys who've had the yips in recent years. And the solution to that most of the times is, okay, I want you to take this ball. I want you to throw it out of the stadium. I want you to throw it as hard as you can. Throw it out of the stadium. I want you to throw it into the dugout on purpose. Like, and I think, and I've talked a little bit about over adjustments and things like that, but reach that breaking point. Reach that point where you fail miserably. Go for it. Just go for it. And if you fail, now you know what you can and cannot get away with. Teaching infielding, when guys don't dive for balls. Why don't, like, even if you don't think the ball, or even if you don't think you can catch the ball or make the play, dive anyway. You might surprise yourself. You catch that ball and you're like, I didn't know I could do that. I had no idea I could do that. And then that also begs the question, like, what else am I not pushing myself towards?
Sure.
But you have to take that initial risk, like stealing bases. If you want to get a good base running team and you want to steal a lot of bags, you're going to have to get thrown out a lot. So rewarding that in practice, like rewarding the risk as opposed to punishing the getting thrown out, is big.
Well, to that point, Brian, like, we've turned into a very good base stealing team this year. But it really took 2 years of us being like 50-50. Like, we got thrown out a lot, and now we don't get thrown out a lot because our guys know, hey, that I got a good jump. But unless you're getting thrown out and you're doing it consistently, it's hard to know, yeah, that was good or that was bad. Now they know that's bad. I don't have it. I don't go. So now that riskiness of the steal, it's not really risky anymore. Now it's more like, hey, like, I'm comfortable, I'm confident living on the edge. That's not a risk. I got this bag. I'm going to get it, Right. So if we do get thrown out, it's almost like, holy shit, how did that happen? Like, right. More so than, oh, what a gamble. What the hell were they doing?
Right.
Or we slide past the base.
Right. Yeah. But what I'm going to implement here probably in the next, couple weeks, couple months, and what I like to do is have a coach's clinic on that specific topic. I think, let's call it the dads who don't know clinic. If a guy makes a mistake, I think the first thing we do as human beings is like, don't do that. You made a mistake, don't do that. Well, I'd rather you fail 10 times and realize what you can and can't do, being aggressive, than never going. And it's just that it's that initial shock of failure that is so terrifying, especially to younger players, because they're afraid they're going to get chewed out or whatever, that they don't take the risk. And, you know, let's use social media as an example. You know, you look at let's say famous people. Famous person does something bad, they become a trending topic. You know, they become a meme, they become a viral video. So no wonder people are scared to like make mistakes. You know,
100%.
you may end up on a t-shirt one day that you know, fell down at first, making a mistake, whatever it is. So I understand that. But we also talk in this program a lot about like, people suck, right? You can't play for other people.
No.
You can't play for other people's approval. You can't play for other people's, you know, so that they think good of you. You have to take people's opinions of you and just throw it out the window, because it doesn't matter. Yes, you're playing for your team. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, everything society has grown, has pushed into this this area where everything's a game with baseball. I'm talking now. Baseball has moved into, when do kids play with kids? When, like, I can go to a basketball gym at any time of day, any summer, and the gym is filled with kids just playing. No coaches, no nothing. They're making judgments of the type of players they want to be and the shots they want to make and what they want to work on. And there is no fear of failure. They're just playing. And in baseball, you don't have that anymore. It's lessons, no offense. It's lessons, it's games. It's not practice. It's not a pickup game. It's not a pickup game where it's just like, hey, we're throwing to each other and we're just going to play here. And your peers, like when I grew up, like my peers and I, we were mad when we lost. We weren't judging each play, but and I'm not saying the players were better back then. That's not it. But the culture of the game was certainly different. And in an era where everything is graded, you can go on to Perfect Game or Prep Baseball Report, and there's rankings, right? And this player is this, and this player does that. And you're basically slotted. And it's basically society saying, this is where you belong. This is, you're the 88th best player in the state of Illinois, or you're the 120 best player in Tennessee, and you're the 14th ranked catcher. You know, like, that's just, like, to me, I tell our guys that's just somebody's opinion. Like, that's not fact. Like, right. And the reason, you know, we used to play Vanderbilt, and it was a fun series for us because, and I'm not afraid to say it, we did not have one player on our roster usually that Vandy would have even considered taking on their team. And that's not a slam on my guys, and it's not a slam on Vandy's recruiting either. It's a fact, but that was the fun of it. Like, we can still go out there and play the game better than they can. We can still go out and play baseball. And it was more like, hey, we're going to do battle with you guys. And it doesn't matter where you're ranked or what says in the front of your jersey. Like, let's go out and just, let's put it out there and let's play. And let's get into a freaking fight with somebody and come out the other side and say, that was a blast. Let's do it all over again the next day. And I just think it's harder when you play in travel or in club baseball, when you're playing tournament, but every tournament is 4 or 5 games. And then you get into bracket play, and there's no, it just becomes numbing to these guys. When I grew up, I was excited every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, because those are the games we played. And I was like, man, it's game day. Let's go play. And it was so much focus put on the game, very much like college baseball, right? Like, hey, midweek baseball, I'm excited to get out there. Then we got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a series against one opponent and you're battling all week. It's just, and I think we've desensitized guys almost to the level as like, just go throw it out there, do what you do. And you know what? Parents, oh, my son flew out. He had 3 great at bats. He flew out to the track 3 times. Okay, well, those are 3 fly balls, and you didn't help the team win. And you know, like, instead of, hey, he had a great 2-strike approach, he got jammed and hit a ball over the shortstop's head that scored us 2 runs with 2 outs. Like that at bat changes the dynamic of a game, not a deep fly ball. So PBR can say, I've got tremendous power that doesn't go out of the park.
Right. I mean, and I think those recruiting services need to exist for certain. Like they do a great job of getting information out there. But I think the perception from kids and parents sometimes is just that they've said this, so I'm this. It defines who I am. And you know, what a lot of times, sorry,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just a lot of times, you know, I've seen this face to face, you know, kids on the team or from another team have said like, you know, well, I'm the 28th ranked shortstop in Tennessee. You're the 40th. So I've got a leg up on you. It's like, okay, do you really, are you that much better? Because of a number. So we assign value based on what this person said. And it gets amplified by the media. You know, it's always about who's throwing the hardest. What's the exit velo off this guy? What's the, you know, he hit 95. Okay. What type of pitching performance did he have? Is he walking the house? Is he competing? Is he competing with runners on base? Is he fielding his position? All those different types of things. And that gets lost in the shine of the numbers. So what we try to do, you know, as a program, we try to say like, you know, what does your whole outing look like? Yeah, throw hard, please throw hard. Would love for you to throw 95. That's great. But what are the other things that are happening within that outing? You know, and you can do that with offense, defense, all those different types of things. But you know,
for you, Brian, like what numbers did you have as a high school player? If I came in and saw Brian Harris as a high school player, what's going to draw me to say that's an SEC shortstop? You know, like the body type didn't project out to be an SEC shortstop.
What are you talking about?
I said, I mean, undersized. I mean, slightly undersized, you know, and skill set. Like if you went out there to the area code games or the area code tryouts and you were out in California, you would just be another guy. Right.
Right.
And with if you would have just accepted, hey, I am Brian Harris. I'm 5'10", 5'11", and you know I am what I am. I'm going to have to go to junior college, or I'm going to have to go to a lower level school. But the things that made you that player weren't your physical skills. Those developed because of what you had inside you that people can't grade. Right? People can't grade the intangibles, the edginess. There's no grade to say this guy's a cutthroat son of a bitch when he's on the field. There's no grade like that, right? Yeah. It's all arm strength this, 60-yard that, good swing. Well, I don't know that one of the top-ranked player in the state of Illinois 2 years ago is out of baseball right now.
Yeah.
He's out of baseball. Why? Because he experienced failure for the first time in his life and he couldn't handle it. Well, Brian Harris experienced failure on a daily basis in some, you know, and learned to overcome it and not be controlled by it. If you accept where you're supposed to slot in, there's no 1980 Olympic hockey team. There's no Buster Douglas. There's no Patriots, Tom Brady, they weren't supposed to win against the Rams. I mean, there's so many of those missed opportunities. If we just accept that, there's no UIC taking 2 out of 3 at Vanderbilt. Like,
Right.
there's like, it's today, I don't give a shit about the rankings. Today, we're going to play. Today,
Yeah.
we're going to play baseball. And I know you and I have talked about this a lot. When I played, you don't show up to the park motivated every day. Every day you're at a different level. So you have to figure out ways to get yourself to where you need to be emotionally. One of the ways for myself, undersized shortstop, Lincoln Memorial University, playing Carson Newman midweek, and you're tired, you got school, you got all this stuff. And I would just, on those days, I would just sit there during infield, outfield, or BP, and I would watch the other team's shortstop. And I would just say, there's no way when we leave here today that people are going to think he's a better player than I was.
Sure.
And I'm not saying I accomplished that all the time, but that's what motivated me to get myself to where I needed to be. Not where are my hands? I got to do this physically right. It was just like I had to get myself into a primal competitive mode where I was going to run harder. I was going to play faster. I was going to dive. I was going to be dirtier. I was going to be grimier. I was going to lay down the bunt. I'd get hit. Like whatever it took when you left the field saying that was the better shortstop, that's what got me up in the morning. That's what got me to where I needed to be. And I just think there's a lot less of that going on in players' minds and a lot more of the how-tos. And please tell me, how do I?
Well,
I'm not a big how-to guy.
I've got 3 hacks for becoming a better hitter. Cool. What's that going to do?
Right.
Do these 3 things and you'll get noticed by no. That's not it. I think that goes back to having an edge, and your edge was, I'm just going to outplay this other guy. And is that a selfish motivation? Maybe a little bit, but you got to be a little bit selfish when you play baseball. You got to be a little bit selfish. Hold on. This is what the shit. I bought the full version. The shit. All right, whatever. But it goes back to having an edge, and I think, and this kind of relates to the next topic, and it's something that I've battled with as a person, battled with as a coach, and as a player. I think if somebody asks a coach, what type of team do you have? And they say, we have a lot of good kids. To me, that is an insult. Being a good kid only gets you so far, right? You off the field, you make good grades, you go to family functions, you go to school, you're a nice boy.
You stay in your lane.
You're staying in your lane, right? And you're being what a lot of people want you to be. But when you get on the baseball field and you're competing, I think you would agree with this. Like, I don't want good kids anymore. I don't want you to be a good kid. Now, that doesn't mean you fight the pitcher and you throw the bat at the other team's dugout. That's not what I'm saying. But you've got to take the good boy mentality and just throw it to the side for a few hours. And you've got to have that mentality of, if I'm the shortstop, like, that other shortstop sucks, I'm going to outplay him, or I'm going to steal this bag and do a little celebration, whatever it is. Basically, not literally taking the middle finger to the other team, but figuratively, you know,
Sure.
and that's having an edge. And I think kids sometimes, you know, I'll use myself as an example. You know, I grew up in a good household. I went to church, and I was a good student, and I did all these things right. And then it took me a long time to figure out, like, that that good boy mentality doesn't work on the baseball field. You know, you have to play the game with respect, right? You have to respect the game. You have to do the right things on the baseball field. But in terms of, like, trying to compete and beat this other team, beat this other person, whatever it is, the good boy mentality has got to leave for a little bit. And does that mean, you know, again, does that mean I'm an absolute psychopath? No. But trying to get kids out of that mentality and be a little less empathetic and be a little bit more cold-blooded without losing their personality, without abusing them, is really hard to do. So my question to you is, how do we do that as a coach? How do we get kids to play with an edge and, you know, but not overdo it? That's one of the biggest things that I have struggled with as a person and as a player and a coach.
Yeah, but that you just described the edge. Well, you struggle with it because you want to encourage it, but you don't want to take it too far where it becomes a label on, like, and I'll use Vanderbilt for an example. Like, obviously Coach Corbin is one of the best in the country at getting the best players in the country, the guys that have been given the most accolades, and getting those guys to play with an edge. And I remember playing at Vanderbilt. I think the third baseman at the time was Esposito, maybe Espo.
Yep.
You know, and he was a good player. I wouldn't say he was a great player. He wasn't the best player that ever played at Vanderbilt, but I remember, like, we laid down a bunt and he comes in, he makes a play, and he throws us out at first base, and he's walking back. He's talking to himself. He's like, yeah, fuck you, motherfucker. You're not going to, you know, screw you. You're not going to bunt on me. Like, this is who I am. And then, you know, we have a slide play at third base. Our guy's out by a lot. And there's not even a slide. He doesn't even slide. He just kind of stands up and lets Espo tag him. And Esposito gives him a little extra, right?
Right.
And you know, that's him playing on that edge, right? And then my guy gave it right back to him. And then all of a sudden we have dugouts. Like, but was it dirty? Yeah, it wasn't really dirty. What was it saying? Screw you, I'm here to win and you're out. Yeah, it was. And then there was my guy saying, hey, F you, don't push me over. Right. I'm going, like, there wasn't a fisticuffs thrown. It was two teams playing really hard. I think where I think a lot of programs and where edginess is gone is looking into other teams' dugout and, like, yelling into other teams' dugouts after doing something successful, you know, or, you know, yelling at a pitcher when you hit a home run, just because pitcher might not have done anything. And now you're going to show that, like, to me, that's where edgy's gone, because everything's a photo op. Instead of, like, hey, if that guy shows me up and I hit a home run, okay, I get it. But when I strike out the 9-hole hitter who's batting 080 and looking into the dugout and saying, you know, something to incite, like, to me, that's not edginess. That's bullshit. And first time we ever played Vanderbilt, we got David Price on the mound against us. We've got a really tough team. Like, we're tough as nails, not talented, not as talented, but we're very tough. And he's striking guys out, and he never looks into our dugout. but every time I'm running by him to go to the dugout, he's yelling into his glove, F you, just like he's staying on edge. He's not getting off track. He's keeping that edge. And I thought it was like, I hated it. Like, I was like, that's some bitch. Like,
Right.
but that was him. Like, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. You're trying to get me off my game and I'm sticking to you. But not one time did he direct anything at our dugout. And that's where this has gone with the bat flips and the yelling. I think it's out of hand. I don't think that's not edgy. That's being punkish,
Sure.
and it's trying to like, hey, I want my guys to be all in on the game. I want my guys all in. I want my guys ready to go at the drop of a hat. And when I say go, mean like, hey, like we're going to stand up for who we are. So, but like to your point, I don't want my guys worried about what the other team thinks. Like I can be excited about what we're doing without looking into that dugout. I'm excited with my team and I want my team to slide hard, play hard. If contact becomes part of a play and we do it safely, yes, we're going to play to contact, like on a slide play or something like that. That's not being dirty. That's playing hard. So I do think, Brian, it's become this edginess, like, and I'll use the people on the other side of the state over there in Knoxville as an example. They're trying to play with an edge, and they don't give a shit. But when you play so close to that edge and it spills over, you can also become the villain really fast, and then it's really easy to be a target. So you're trying to walk that balancing line. I always think Vandy has always done that very well. I hope I see other programs that I think do it very well. And I want my guys to play tough, but let's do it for you, not because of them. Do it for you, not because of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were a part of our